What if the thing that's keeping money or visibility or business success from flowing in copious amounts is you trying to protect yourself from the very thing you've been asking for? You've been saying out loud to yourself, to the divine, to the people in your life that you want success. You have financial goals. You have a deep desire to be known for your particular brand of excellence. But deep down inside, does part of you worry about what success might actually cost you? Hey, beautiful soul. I'm Jennifer Bloom, Soul Abundance Guide, and I work with spiritually savvy business owners who are frustrated beyond belief because even with all the action they're taking in their business and all the spiritual tools they're using, they are still not getting the abundance, the money that they want. I help you unearth the deeper soul level stories that are keeping you stuck. And together we transform them so you can finally experience the kind of abundance that you know is possible. Today's live is going to help you start taking those steps. And if you are ready to jump into action, take the first step right now, head to abundanceheartbreak.com, and there you'll find Abundance Heartbreak Breakthrough. This is it's a guided experience to help you understand what your soul is trying to show you through your money patterns, through the abundance that you are not getting. Okay? I want to welcome you to the third part of my Clearing Money Blocks series. If you've been with me the last two, you know that we've already talked about the guilt of receiving and the shame around past financial choices, past money mistakes. No small topics, right? Today, we're going to dive into something that is just as important, but maybe it's a little bit harder to wrap your head around. We're talking today, I'm sharing with you today all about the fear of success, that thing that has you suddenly cleaning the house instead of launching the dream offer you've been thinking about and wanting to put out to your community. Right? We're going to spend time talking about why the fear of success shows up, what your brain is really trying to protect you from, and most importantly, how to start to shift the pattern so that you can let success feel safe and sustainable and inevitable. Okay? So this is going to be really good. I'm so glad that you're here. When you're feeling super frustrated about not having the money that you want from your business, whether that money from your business is 4-figure months, 5-figure months, 6-figure years, whatever it is, when you don't have that money coming in, what kinds of thoughts come up for you? What feelings come up for you? I would say that this is personal as well as what I see in my clients. But what I see is that most people who are frustrated by the lack of abundance in their business start asking the question, what's going wrong? What am I doing wrong? What am I not seeing? What is my problem with money? And then emotionally, the feelings that come up, they center around feelings like worthlessness or helplessness, powerlessness, anger, all in that space of not being able to create the success they want. And listen, I'm not talking here about, oh, it's been a month and I don't quite have what I want. These are thoughts and feelings that come up when you've been hitting that same roadblock over and over again. You make a little bit of progress and then it feels like you slide back. You make some progress in your business, you launch a program that goes okay, and then things drop back off again, right? When you're in that particular cycle and success is just kind of over there, over there, and you can't quite make it. Right? This is the space that I'm talking about, right? But if you're asking those questions, what am I doing wrong? What new program do I need to go after? What do I need to learn about marketing? What do I need to work out with money? And you've been asking those questions and making some changes, and it's still not yielding you what you really want. I'm going to invite you to flip the question. Instead of asking, why can't I create this thing in business that I want? What am I afraid of happening if I do get what I want? Is there a part of me afraid of what's going to happen when that success is present? Fear of success is a block that's going to keep you, as a spiritually conscious entrepreneur, stuck in that cycle of almost, almost reaching your goal, almost sustaining the kind of income that you want, but never quite breaking through. And I can't stress this enough. This happens at all levels of success. Whether it's you're just starting out and you can't quite get those first few clients, or you have one or two, or whether you have been in a sustainable business for a while, but you want that next level, you want that next level of income because of the freedom that it's going to provide you, or you want to transition from, let's say, doing one-on-one services, and you want to transition into creating more of a group experience so that you can still provide your expertise, but you are not having to spend so much time in it, but you can't figure out how to create that group experience, or you've launched a couple of group experiences that just haven't gone very well. Okay. No matter what level in business you're at, if you are feeling like you're just never quite breaking through and never quite breaking through, fear of success is something to take a look at. Okay. Uh, so let's talk about what fear of success actually means. All right, it's a buzzword. If you've been in the spiritual community, it's something that you probably have heard before. Let's talk about what it might sound like. So some things you might hear yourself saying is, if I get what I really want, other people are going to be really uncomfortable. Or if I get the kind of visibility that I want, if I get the kind of visibility I need in order to create the community that I want, that is going to be supporting me financially, I'm going to be right out there. What if I'm criticized? What if I'm rejected? What if I get out there and I put myself on that stage and they throw tomatoes at me? The image that I have is that scene from The Princess Bride, and Buttercup is walking out, and they're booing her and tossing all this rotten food at her. You should have waited for true love, right? that's that's a humorous way of thinking about it, and yet there's a part of us that can be terrified that if I write that book and it goes out and I do a book tour, is anybody going to show up? If I do show up, are people going to yell? Are people going to tell me I'm a fraud? Are people going to say I'm insane? Are people going to say I'm crazy? Are they going to say this is the worst idea since non-sliced bread? And is my community going to walk away from me? Those people that I really want to be around, are they going to reject me? Another thought that might run through your head is, what if success means I have to work hard 24/7, 365? If success means sacrificing myself, if success means draining my energy and not having time for anything else, I don't want it. There are so many examples of people out there running really big businesses, and that's what they do. That's the only thing they do. They lose there. You can think of a lot of examples of people who've lost families, who've lost friends. Maybe you have. Maybe you got really involved in a project and you only had the bandwidth to do the project, to launch the program, and you pick your head up after 6 months and you realize, hey, I haven't heard from so and so for a while. And then you reach out to them and they're like, not interested. Or you do this great big launch and then you get sick. And now you're out for a month because you've just physically exhausted yourself. And you realize, I don't want to do that again. Right? And another way of thinking of this, it's a bit of all of this that I've just said, is, what if I change too much? What if, when I really put a stake in the ground and say, I'm ready for success, I'm ready no matter what if I change too much? What if I outgrow my relationships? And I have to say that this one was definitely something for me. The visibility and this particular variation of fear of success were two things I really needed to work through. I have been married to my husband since 1990. So there were times through all of this where there was a part of me that was afraid to give all of my energy to my business might mean that I would not have anything left over for him. Or if I had this big giant success, that he would walk away. So those were things that I had to work with and to see parts of, and understand that those were unfounded fears, but they kept me small for quite some time. So I'm curious, as I'm sharing all of this, what's coming up for you? What's resonating? What's pinging for you? And just take a moment to jot it down. I'd love for you to share it in the comments. I would love to hear what you're thinking. These really, one of the first steps of this is to bring it to the surface. So a lot of times when we bring it to the surface, now we can work through it. And we'll talk more about that later in the call, about how to work through it. But bringing it to the surface is super important because you can't do anything about it until you can see it. But I want to say a little bit more about why these fears can be so impactful on your ability to create success. Because each one of these fears is like a no. It's not even like a no, it's a no. it's a no to the abundance you're consciously asking for. When you carry these fears and worries, success of any kind is going to feel like a threat to your nervous system. We are biologically hardwired for survival. If you are taking action that your brain sees as breaking a rule for survival, it's going to stop you. If your success is tied to a fear like expulsion from your community, exhaustion, high risk, your brain is going to block your ability to take forward movement. How does this happen? Well, it happens at the level of your subconscious. Your subconscious is made up in part of your beliefs and your habits. It's the rule maker. And it's there for positive reasons. It's there to hold the knowledge of that part of you that says, when I put my hand in the hot fire, I end up with a burn. We don't want to do that again, right? So your subconscious holds all of these thoughts and fears and worries and rules that are made up because of those fears and worries, so that you do not accidentally do something that's going to create extinction of your life. Okay? If you're making a decision that's going to require you to do something in opposition to whatever belief you're holding, it triggers fear, and that fear turns into avoidance, it turns into procrastination, it turns into self-sabotage. And what that looks like is you don't write that newsletter. You never find the time to finish the program you bought to create your membership program. You clean your house instead of doing your sales page. All of these things that seem like you should be able to override, but when they're running in the background and you don't really know they're there, your brain is going to try so hard to protect you. And it throws out habits of procrastination. It throws out habits of perfectionism. It throws out habits of undercharging. Okay. And all of this is happening without your conscious awareness. So it's not really mindset, right? We're told to have a positive mindset. We're told to think those thoughts that are going to move us forward. So what we're talking about here isn't really about shifting your mindset. It's the result of nervous system gone haywire plus some misalignment with your soul. And we'll talk more about that in a moment. But before we get there, again, I want to ask you, how is this sounding? Are you recognizing yourself anywhere in here? We're going to do some exercises in a bit that are going to help you understand the beliefs that are kind of running the show behind the scenes. But if you want to do this in a really deep way, again, go to abundanceheartbreak.com, do the Abundance Heartbreak Breakthrough exercise, and this is going to help you articulate some of what's going on behind the scenes. Okay? Because here's the good news. You don't have to guess whether fear of success is your specific block. You can actually communicate with your soul and receive information so you know exactly where to shift so that you can have what you want. This space of not having what you want, of almost getting there and then falling back, and almost getting there and falling back, and trying every quote trick that you know to shift beliefs and to shift your mindset and to think positively, and it's not working, it's not getting you anywhere. That space is what I call abundance heartbreak. Abundance heartbreak happens when you want something that you know is meant to be. You know it down to your very cells. You know that you have a, a gift, you have a purpose, and you know that you are meant to bring it out to the world. And the fact that it isn't happening feels wrong. You know down to your cellular structure that you are meant to be creating. And you know down to your cellular structure that as you create, you receive abundance. That space of knowing that it is so wrong that it isn't happening, but not having any idea of how to get there, and the intense sadness of wrongness, that's abundance heartbreak. Abundance heartbreak, though, isn't random. It isn't suffering that you have to go through in order to have what you want. Abundance heartbreak is how your soul gets your attention. It's calling you into the next level of your particular expansion. When you acknowledge that, whether you have fear of success or fear of failure or shame from past mistakes, or you're feeling guilty about receiving without efforting, no matter what it is, when you know how to listen to your soul, you can stop trying to do the external things and start adjusting from the inside out. Yes, once you do that shift, there will absolutely be things to do in the outside world. There are action steps that are required when you're in business. There's action steps because we live on a 3D planet. We're always going to be in action. But once you make that shift, success now can become safe, and you can start flowing that success to you. Okay. Again, head over to abundanceheartbreak.com and you can start making that shift today, right now. All right. So once you understand that your soul is using this heartbreak to show you exactly where you're meant to expand, the next question becomes, okay, so what's actually standing in the way of my expansion? The answer to that question almost always lives in the subconscious, right? All those things we were talking about before, those hidden but powerful beliefs that formed when success or visibility felt unsafe. And because our brains are wired to protect us, anything that feels like a threat, even something good like success, gets blocked. Remember, we're wired for survival. We're not wired for thriving. Body could care less whether you're thriving. As long as you're surviving, it's good. So let's do a little bit more to bring those fears to the light. Again, because once you name them, you can shift them. All right. So let me give you a few more beliefs that might be under the surface that are related to a fear of success. If I succeed, I won't be able to keep up. This can have a lot of different flavors. It can be, gosh, if I get the ball rolling and I get that membership site started, or if I get that one-on-one program really rolling and I have person after person after person, I'm gonna burn out. I'm not going to have the physical or energetic resources to keep up. Another way that this can show up is if I have more, if I create this amazing success and I really begin to draw abundance to me, if I draw abundance to me that I've never had before, or in amounts that I've never had before, does that mean that other people are going to have less? And we are really wired, particularly in Western culture, I think, to believe that there is a certain amount of resources. And I have to grab mine before other people can grab theirs. But when you're coming from this more spiritual, more interconnected, community based perspective, going out and grabbing so that other people can't have it, that doesn't feel very good, does it? And yet it's coming from this really this really inaccurate understanding of abundance, which is that it's limited. Another belief that can show up is if I shine too brightly, I'm going to make others uncomfortable. And then the corollary to that, or the follow up to that, is they'll leave me. How many times have you had an experience where you have shown up in your powerful self and other people shrunk back a little bit? Or maybe in the moment they listened and they heard you and they didn't call again. Painful, right? All of these beliefs drain your energy, they short circuit your momentum, and yet they feel real. You were never afraid of success. You were afraid of what you thought success would cost. It's going to cost me my freedom. It's going to cost me my people. It's going to cost me my physical health. Mm-hmm. Now that I've given you some examples, I would love to do a couple of exercises so that you can begin to articulate your particular flavor when it comes to fear of success. In order to do that, I am going to ask you to pick a goal that you have. Maybe that goal is an amount of money you want to bring in on an annual basis, or maybe you have a goal around a particular launch, or how many people you want to have in your newsletter community, or how many people you want in an online group. Okay. And the first exercise is to say, all right, let's imagine that there's a newspaper, an honest to goodness print newspaper. That newsletter is delivered, or not newsletter, that newspaper is delivered to all the people you love. All the people have known you at every stage of your life, and it proclaims your name. Jennifer Bloom has achieved X. Right? Jennifer Bloom has a 7-figure, 6-figure business year. Jennifer Bloom has 10,000 people in her group membership. Jennifer Bloom has come out as a spiritual practitioner and uses woo-woo techniques to guide people to success. Whatever it is for you. And I'm going to ask you to check into your body. Anything happening in your gut, anything kind of starting to squiggle, anything happening in your heart, anything happening in your throat. And I'm going to ask you to just pause and take a breath and tune into that and notice what's coming up. Okay. So if you're getting some good information, that's great. Otherwise, remember, you can come back. Okay. All right. So now I want you to think about that same goal. And let's do a little timeline jump. I want you to imagine that you have achieved that goal and it's now 6 months past. What are your predictions about how life changes? What does it do to your most precious, intimate relationships? What happens in terms of your safety in the world? I have a client who has a fear that if she puts herself out in the world doing and being and saying who she is authentically, that she is going to be seen by authority figures and taken away. That she's going to get scooped up from her house and taken, and she can't really articulate really what's next, but that's the feeling that she gets. She's currently running a business, but she's shifting into this new idea, and that new idea has her paralyzed because there's this underlying fear of what's going to happen when she really speaks her truth. And listen, you may not get a conscious articulation of the fear because those fears are really deeply intertwined in your subconscious. You may only get a feeling of fear, or you may only get a feeling of stuckness. And I don't want you to worry if you can't completely articulate them. If you can only articulate the fact that I have this squeezing in my gut, or I'm feeling a huge weight on my shoulder, or the more I think about launching this program, the more I feel weighed down, or the more I think about consistently hitting that multiple six-figure year, the more I just get exhausted by it all. Those are important signals from your body telling you that yes, you harbor a fear, you harbor this worry or concern. And so because that's there, it is impacting your ability to have stress. It's impacting your stress levels. It's impacting your ability to have clarity. It's impacting your ability to step into action, right? When we're in fear, we're disconnected from that frontal cortex. So we're not able to plan things out the way that we usually do. When we're in fear, we are totally disconnected vertically to the divine, to our intuition. And so you get that feeling of stuckness. So yes, it is helpful if you can articulate what that actual fear is. But like the client example I was just giving you, she can't say why she has that fear. And when she speaks it out loud, you can tell that there's a part of her that while it feels true when she says it, it like resonates and lands in her body like, yeah, this is what I believe. The conscious mind says, why do I believe this? This just sounds weird. Why? I can intellectualize my way around this. Of course, I'm not going to get taken away. Like, when I talk to clients about creating money, and there's this feeling of, well, what happens if I lose it all? And then there's this fear of, okay, what's going to happen? Well, well, and you start to think about it. You're like, well, what actually happens? You don't go to debtor's prison anymore. Yeah, your credit rating might take a hit. It might be harder to move forward, but there's a seed within your being that's much more terrified than is warranted for any of those situations. Okay. The reason why I'm spending so much time on this is because once you know the fear, or once you have that sensation, you understand the sensation that's happening in your body, now you can start the process of releasing it. We can move it out of your body and your energy field so that you can get back into taking the steps that are going to create success. The way that I like to do this is to use EFT, or emotional freedom technique. This is a super powerful tool to rewire your nervous system. It's a super powerful tool that allows you to release your subconscious blocks. And once you've rewired your nervous system, once you have released those blocks, now you are in a much better position to open and allow the flow of abundance that you really want. So what we're going to do next is a short tapping exercise. I don't want to pretend that one exercise is going to unlock all of this for you, but we can absolutely start to take a layer off of what's happening in your body, mind, soul, subconscious, and you can start to literally feel in your body the relief of starting to let go. The other amazing thing about EFT is that because we are working in the realm of the subconscious when we're tapping, as you're tapping, you may notice thoughts coming up. You may notice things coming to the surface. You're like, oh, I didn't know that I thought that. Or you might start remembering, oh, There was that time in school when I was so proud of this project that I was doing that I started speaking about it to all my friends, and they heckled me for it. They made fun of me. Right? That's a clue as to what is holding your belief in place. And tapping can get that out of your system. Sometimes you need a practitioner to hold that space for you while you're going through it so that you can see it. But let's get started. Let's give this let's get tapping so you can start to experience what it's like to begin to release some of this from your being. Okay? So we've spent a significant amount of time talking about what those underlying beliefs might be. You've been thinking about what those are. So I'm going to ask you just in this moment to let that really rise to the surface. What's the belief that's really poking at you? What's the feeling in your body that is telling you, yep, something's present here? And then what we're going to do is we're going to start tapping through the points. If you're familiar with EFT, great. If you're not, no worries. Simply follow me. You're going to use your right hand or your left hand. You're going to tap with enough force that you can feel it, but you're not banging on the points. If you want a deeper explanation of EFT and what it does and how it works, I have a video on my channel that goes through all that information, so you can look at it there. Okay. Typically, when we do EFT, we start at the side of the hand, but today I just want to start at the eyebrow point. So we're just going to start up here. And before we do that, I'm going to ask you to, again, you're going to call up that feeling state that came as we were talking about all of these different iterations of fear of success. People leaving you, people heckling you, getting into a physically exerted state, having exhaustion, being on a hamster wheel, like it's never going to stop. If I create this, it's never going to stop. My effort is never going to stop. I have to keep going, and I'm going to get exhausted. If I get up on a much bigger platform and I speak my truth to this much bigger platform so that I can have that bump up in my income, then I'm not safe. They are going to come for me. Right? So just let that all come up in your system, whether it's through a mental conversation or if it's simply that feeling in your body, like a tightening or a stabbing, whatever it is. Let that come up, and I want you to rate the intensity of it on a scale of 0 to 10. 0 being nope, there's nothing here, which I'm going to invite you to think of something else before you tap, or all the way up to 10, which is the most intense expression of that feeling that you could possibly imagine. And that the thought, like it just feels so true, absolutely true. So again, rate it on a scale of 0 to 10 and jot that down. And I just want you to start up at your eyebrow point. And if you need to switch hands partway through, that's just fine. You'll see me doing it. Okay. All right, so tap and repeat out loud after me. I'm starting to recognize, outside of your eye, that I believe there was a cost to success. Under your eye, and that perceived cost, under your nose, is keeping me standing in place. Under your lip, that perceived cost is creating stuckness. Collarbone, it's blocking me from the action. Under your arm, that's going to allow success. Top of your head. It's keeping me from feeling safe moving forward. Eyebrow. Maybe my fear is visibility. Outside of your eye, or that I'll get excommunicated. Under your eye. I'll no longer have my community. Under your nose. I'll be all alone. Under your lip. I'll be cut off. Collarbone. Maybe I'll be so physically exhausted that I won't survive. Under your arm. I will hit the standard I want. Top of your head. And then I'm going to have to work to maintain it. Eyebrow. I don't know that I have that in me. Outside of your eye. No matter what the stuckness is, under your eye, I'm starting to recognize. Under your nose, that my nervous system has been stuck in fear. Under your lip, whether any of this is true or not. Collarbone, my nervous system has been stuck in fight or flight. Under your arm, it's been stuck in fear. Top of your head, and it is doing everything it can. Eyebrow, to keep me from moving forward. Outside of your eye, and I used to beat myself up about that. Under your eye, but now I recognize it for what it is. Under your nose, it's just my brain trying to keep me safe. Under your lip, it's just my brain trying to keep me safe. Collarbone, and I'm also starting to understand. Under your arm, that this really painful place, top of your head, is actually a call from my soul. Eyebrow, it's a call to help me expand. Outside of your eye, I've been reading the painfulness of this situation. Under your eye, that there was something wrong with me. Under your nose, or I was doing something wrong. Under your lip, I was beating myself up pretty good about it. Collarbone, and the more I beat myself up, under your arm, the more my brain registers that there's fear. Top of your head, my fear is keeping me stuck inside and out. Eyebrow. I choose to remind my brain and my nervous system. Outside of your eye, that I'm safe. Under your eye, reminding my brain and my nervous system. Under your nose, that I'm safe. Under your lip, I'm safe enough that I can start to explore. Collarbone, what my soul is calling attention to. Under your arm, opening to all the wisdom that my soul is sharing with me. Top of your head, opening the conversation with my soul. Eyebrow, to address the costs that I'm afraid of. Outside of your eye, in my connection with my soul. Under your eye, I'm safe. Under your nose, I can address the nuances later. Under your lip, I can address what needs to be addressed. And for now, I remind my brain and my nervous system that I am safe. Under your arm, that I am supported in all ways. And I'm looking forward with this new sense of possibility. Beautiful. So just relax your hand, take a couple of deep breaths, let everything settle. And now I want you to just lightly tune back in to the beliefs that were coming up before, or the sensations in your body that were coming up from before. And just notice on a scale of 0 to 10 how intense they are. 0 is not at all, 10 is off the charts. And just notice, do you feel more safe? Are things less intense, more intense? Just notice. Okay. As I said before, this is the first layer. As you remind your whole system that you are safe, it becomes a lot easier to get the clarity about what's happening in this moment. What am I really being offered as possibility here? What is possible now that success is more safe? Right? So imagine if this tapping stirred something inside of you and cleared, what's possible when you go even deeper? Your soul is already showing you the way. If you're somebody that likes to work this stuff out on your own, take that first step. Go to abundanceheartbreak.com and get more information about what your soul is sharing with you. If you are ready to be supported through this, drop me a note in the comments and I will get back to you about how to take steps with me. And as we wrap up, I just want to remind you that this fear of success, the fear of the costs of success, is simply a form of protection. It's your brain working to keep you safe, and it is your soul calling you to a deeper sense of safety and to truth and expansion. You are a deeply wise being, and you can receive and be supported in your success. Next week is the final Clearing Money Blocks series, and we're going to talk about the fear of allowing money to flow out. We're going to look at that question, what if it all goes away? One more juicy topic. All right. Until next time, I offer each and every one of you prosperous blessings. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.